Hello, it's Melinda from Scrapbooking Craft. Just coming on with part 2. You would have seen the part, and I'll also link it down below, of me removing rubber stamps from wood mount blocks. So this is the lollipop and going into my rubbish bin. This is the little tree here. I'm sure I've got the birdcage there too. And this is the birdcage. So I've taken them off the wooden block and mounted them onto cling mount. And now I'm going to stamp with them. So I'm going to use a Misty. This was gifted to me. I didn't pay that particular price, if you can see it. This is certainly one brand of stamping tool. There are several now on the market and they basically do the same thing. Basically, all of them are a folder type system with magnets. And just got to take that bit of foam out. So basically you put your paper in. These are really, really strong magnets and will hold your paper down because the back of it's magnetised. And then it's got a lid. So what you can actually do is we'll take the birdcage stamp to start with. If you want your stamp in a particular spot, you can actually line it up wherever you want it. So we want it down here because I just want to do a bunch of bird cages. So you basically put it rubber side down onto your page. If you've never seen one of these tools. As I say, there's several brands on the market that are a lot more reasonably priced than this one. So basically I'm going to have to move this over. So we've got our stamp here. I'm just going to use some archival ink from Ranger. So careful not to get it on the acrylic block, the acrylic thingo, the acrylic, like your acrylic block this is acting like. Okay, so you can see I've got black ink on there. So now all you do is fold it over and press. Now the advantage of having one of these stamping tools, not necessarily this brand but any of the brands, is if you open it up and say I didn't get quite the top of that round, I'm not sure whether you can see it, I'll see if I can lift it up. Where are we? There in the middle. The advantage of this is if you don't get a crisp clear image the first time, because your stamp is over here and your paper is here, it's in exactly the same spot. So I've just inked it up again as you saw and I just stamp over again. And see how that's gone a lot darker? And that's perfectly stamped in the one spot. So now you can move your stamp and you can place it down where you want it again. So we're down there. So I'm doing a row of bird cages and pick it up. It does do a light faint there because I did have ink on it, so just inking it up. Oh, you can't see it. Inking it up again like you'd ink up a normal stamp. I've actually seen DIY versions of this on the internet as well, which work really well. So then you're just pressing it down. Beautiful. Let's try another stamp. We'll put the birdcage there, and I'm just going to stamp it with what ink was left. Doesn't help that I'm stamping on a trestle table. That's just being a pain in the bottom at the moment. So now we've got a lighter one, so we've used up our ink. So now let's use this little house stamp. Now this one never used to, I'll just move my magnet out of the way, never worked because it was on the wooden block. So just picking it up. So I'm just going to ink it up as normal. And then we're just going to bring it across and give it a good press. And as you can see, the bottom is not as black as I want it. So I've actually got my stamp here. So I can just stamp again. These stamping tools are great if you have problems with your hands, like arthritis or something. I think that's an imperfection in the stamp, not in the actual stamping ability. Let's do another one just to build a bit more. Because you can line them up again and again, A, you're not going to waste paper, and I don't tend to like to stamp on something straight away. And I've got to move this back to the edge of my trestle. I'll do that one again. Say I make a beautiful background, I'm hesitant to stamp straight on the top of it because I want to muck it up and I can't stamp it again But as you can see, that house looks really, really cool. So these stamps are working awesomely. And just clean your stamps off the same way. We're going to use this one, which was that green border stamp from Typo. So again, just positioning it. This one didn't work at all. So we're going to have a go at, hopefully I'm in frame there. What I'm going to do is just turn this around here, because if I do it on the edge of my trestle, I get a much better impression. Ooh, pretty. That is almost perfect. I can just go over it again lightly, and because it's in, whoops, exactly the same spot, it will stamp perfectly again. Wow, I can never get a stamp of that normally, and that is just beautiful. What I might do is just use up the extra ink on this one, is just place it next to it, pick it up, and then I'm just going to move this around here. Because I work on a trestle table, I find the edge of the trestle table is where I get the most pressure, and then my trestle table is actually bowed in the middle. But that's quite a nice light version of it as well, just to clear off my ink. I could go, if I wanted that darker, I can go ink it up again and do it darker. So that's just a quick use of, actually let's do the lollipop and the tree. So the advantage of this is you can actually, sorry, that way down, you can actually put two stamps. So if you're wanting to stamp out a bunch of images, this is how this particular thing comes in handy. Because you can actually line up, you could cover the whole plate with stamps. Sorry, just moving it to the edge of my trestle. And then I can move these again. I can put this one there. Just got to watch when you drop them down, when they've got a bit of ink on them, you don't move them again. So now we've got them in two different. Just ink them up as normal and flip over, and perfectly inked. I could probably go a bit darker with the lollipop. Let's do the lollipop again. What I'm going to do is just move it to the edge here and just give it a bit of a press because of my trestle table. There we go. So it's a super quick demonstration of the stamps that I've taken off my clear blocks and used them to stamp in the MISTI. They'll work just as well on an acrylic block, or they'll work just as well by themselves. You can actually, not particularly this one, but this one I could just use as is on a mixed media layout and just stamp it round and get an imperfect stamp, which is what you like to do for mixed media. But I just thought I'd show you that. So if you do like the look of this gadget, search around. I believe Tim Holtz is bringing one out. I believe a few other companies have bought them out now. This was one of the original ones that was gifted to me by a lovely friend. But I'm excited to see the Tim Holtz one. It's a lot bigger as well, and it looks really cool. I have a lot bigger stamps that would work with the Tim Holtz one as well. A lot of my big Prima dolls don't actually fit in here to get a good stamp of those. But thank you for watching. Any questions, leave them below and I'll help you out. But I just wanted to show you the stamps that we had taken off the blocks and we'd been able to use. A lot better now that they're off the blocks, and I'm going to use them a lot more, so you may see them in projects. They're going to be a lot easier to find than rummaging through a box, a rather large box of wooden stamps. They're going to be on probably 4 or 5 sheets in a binder, which would be so much easier to grab. As you can see, they're not going to, well, that one did because I didn't squish it down properly, but they don't fall off. So in a binder, they're not going to, I've got ink all over this. How'd I get ink on it? I've got ink everywhere. So they're not going to come off, which is really cool. Even the little ones don't come off. They're sort of clung on. Don't get hair and stuff on it. Oh, my ink's on my fingers. That's why I keep getting it on here, because I keep touching it. Oh, yeah, inky fingers. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.